Hey y'all, it's Lonnie and welcome to my channel, The Homeschool Helpmate, where I help families transition to homeschool and overcome their homeschool struggles. In today's video, I'm going to share with you 5 reasons that you probably should not homeschool. So when you're thinking about the decision to homeschool, a lot of people struggle. They kind of make a pros and cons list, like these are the reasons we should homeschool, these are the reasons we should not homeschool. Well, the 5 reasons I'm going to share with you today are some reasons you really want to consider very thoughtfully. If you have these as reasons for homeschooling, you might want to think a little harder. If you're interested in hearing the 5 reasons why I think that you should not homeschool, then stay tuned. Now, let's get into it. These reasons are not in any particular order, so here we go. The first reason that you should not homeschool is because you're afraid. Afraid to let your child live. So I hear a lot of people saying that one of the reasons that they want to homeschool their child or children is because they are afraid of what they will experience in a traditional public school. I do understand that that is absolutely a valid concern, but the issue with that is that you can't shelter your child forever. Your child is going to have experiences that you don't want them to have, but think back on your own upbringing and some of the experiences that you may have had. They help mold you into the person that you are. So if one of your top reasons for homeschooling your children is just because you're afraid of what they may experience out in the world, you're doing them a disservice. You want your kids to, yes, have positive experiences as much as possible, but let's just be honest, that's not the way the world works. Everything is not going to be rainbows and roses. And the more that you kind of prolong that, the longer that your child's view of the world is going to be very skewed. They're going to think that everything is positive. So instead, don't shelter them just because you are afraid. Don't project your fear or insecurities onto your child. That is not a reason to homeschool. Right. Another reason that you should not homeschool is if you want to control your child. So this kind of goes with being afraid. A lot of people like to make sure they have control of everything that's going on in their kids' lives. I totally understand. I am a person that I like to be in control. I like things the way I like them, and that is that. But let's be real here, y'all. Your child is going to be whatever God has created them to be, no matter what you do. So if your sole reasoning for homeschool, or one of your top reasons for homeschooling, is that so you can try to control your kid, it's not going to work out. All right, this one is a biggie. You should definitely not homeschool if you and your partner are not in agreement. Now, I know this can get very, very sticky, especially because there's so many blended families in the world. I'm in a blended family also, so our homeschool dynamic is a little different. But make sure that you sit down with your husband and fully consider all the things that you need to consider if you want to move into home education. You need to be on one accord, like flesh it out. Who is going to be in charge of the majority of the learning and purchasing of curriculum and signing up for activities and co-ops and all that kind of thing? So in my household, that is absolutely my duty. My husband is super laid back. So when I brought the idea to him, along with the reasons why I wanted to do it, he was all for it. And that's usually how the decisions go in our house. If he has an idea and brings it to me, I'm like, hey, let's do it, and vice versa. So make sure you sit down and you communicate with your partner effectively, because that can cause a lot of turmoil in the home, and your homeschool is not going to flow the way you would like it to if you and your partner are not in agreement. Again, make sure that you have a clear line of communication between you and your partner, and also try to include your children in those decisions. I know it can get a little tough, especially when they're a little bit older, to convince them to homeschool, especially if you are transitioning. But make sure that you sit down with your kids too and talk with them, because their opinions are valid, because this is affecting their lives also. Okay, another reason that you should not homeschool: don't homeschool if you just want to homeschool. Now, let me explain. Don't homeschool if all you want to do is stay in the house. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. So, especially with our situation. So, in our household, there are 3 children. There is 1 child that is homeschooled. Okay. We are a blended family. We have 1 kid that is homeschooled. If all we did was stay in the house, that's where you kind of get that stereotype of the weird homeschooler. A lot of people think homeschooling is I stay in my house all day and it's me and my parent and we're looking at each other and no. So if all you want to do is stay at home to homeschool, then homeschooling might not be for you, or that's just not a good reason to homeschool. Now, if there are, of course, medical conditions that cause you to have to stay in a little more, there's nothing wrong with that. What I'm saying is, if your reasoning for homeschool is because you want to keep your child in the house in this little protective box, then that might not be a good decision. So when you are a homeschooler, you really have to be open to getting to know new people, and you can only do that by getting outside of your home, going on play dates, joining co-ops, joining field trip groups, hanging out at the park. So you have to get out of the idea that, yes, I'm going to be home in my pajamas all day, every day, because likely that's not going to happen. If I'm being quite honest with you guys, I have maybe 1 day out of the week, I try to squeeze in 2 days out of the week that we actually stay home. That's it. That's it. The rest of the days, we're out of the house most of the day. If all you want to do is stay home, that's not a good reason to homeschool. All right. Reason number 5 that you should not homeschool: if you can't step outside of your comfort zone. If you are kind of stuck in your ways, you don't want to change, you don't want to learn anything new, it's going to be very difficult. Homeschool is something that is continuously evolving and changing. And if you don't want to color outside of the lines, this might not be something that you want to do. Or if you can't learn to color outside of the lines. In addition to that comfort zone, that comes with people also. Again, if you're not willing to get out and meet people and do things, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for you and your children to make that transition into homeschooling. So really just consider that, you have to be willing to step outside of your comfort zone. It will be uncomfortable, it will be awkward, but you can definitely get used to it, and it's something that you can do. And think about what a great example that you'll be setting for your kids when they see, you know what, my parents stepped outside of their comfort zone. They grew up with traditional schooling and they see that I'm learning better through unschooling and they're letting me do that. Or my parents don't know these people and they're out here talking to them and having a good time. They will see that. More is caught than is taught. So definitely make sure that you are okay with stepping outside of your comfort zone if you want to homeschool. If you're not, all right, y'all, I hope those tips were helpful. Those are 5 reasons that you should probably not homeschool. If you have any more reasons that you'd like to share with everybody on why you shouldn't homeschool, leave those comments down below. And if you haven't already, go ahead and give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed this content, and make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.